a signal that we're starting, and he did it 3 times, and I didn't pick up on it. Now it's 7. Thank you, Pat. Pat's now just becoming a Laker girl. He's dancing over there. I'm really excited. This comic I did the Rogue Island Comedy Festival with. Really funny. Oscar Aydin, everybody.
Yay, Oscar.
Thank you very much.
I have to stop screaming the name.
Well,
It's okay.
It kind of works. It makes
You're excited.
Doesn't make you feel important.
I mean, at least someone's screaming. At least a man is screaming my name. So I'll take the wins when I can get it.
You've made a man scream before. Your father, for instance.
Why these homosexuals?
You must clean up. You're a good-looking kid.
I do fine.
Yeah,
I do fine. You know, it's interesting in the gay community because
you never know. It's
you never know.
It's like being in the NBA.
Are you a
type?
You're not really
the
a type.
level.
Huh?
Are you a type or no? There's like Cubs and Bears and.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's funny.
You're in a bear cave right now.
I'm more like a camel because like I'll spit, but then I retain water, and so.
We're going to talk about aliens today, not sex. Immediately.
The whole Middle East angle in there.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny how like I just come on the podcast and you're like, okay, we're talking about guys fucking.
Well, we don't want to. We're not just going to talk about guys fucking. We're going to be talking about aliens fucking. Actually, I don't think there's any alien fucking on this episode.
Well, let me ask you this. Right before we started, I asked you because what your level of interest in the topic is, and what I meant was paranormal. Our podcast has become completely paranormal. What is your experience with it? Not meaning
just to give him some background. We're trying to make this as less accessible as possible. We're just going to keep getting narrower until it's string theory.
You're like, podcast. How much do you believe in gay aliens? Not just aliens, but gay aliens. You know what? That's what we're going to tailor our podcast for. Right now it's just gay, and then it's like gay Arab aliens. How much do you believe?
Gay bottomed Arab
aliens. Yeah.
What about terrorist ghosts?
Yeah. How much do I believe in paranormal? I do believe in paranormal. I actually believe in ghosts and aliens. I mean, I feel like I haven't seen enough experiment. Like I feel like I haven't seen enough to grasp how it works, but I do believe in ghosts. And what's funny is that I was having a conversation with a comic once, and we were chatting, and I told him that I think there's ghosts out there, and he just looked at me and he was like, "What? There's no fucking ghosts." And I turned to him and I was like, "Okay, well, do you believe in aliens?" And he's like, "Of course." And I'm like, "No, you can't have one without the other. Like that doesn't work."
I believe
it's either
in both,
one
but I think
it's either none
without the other. But
really,
I do. But I believe in both. I understand your point.
I actually think it's all part of the same thing.
I do too.
Yeah,
but I'm saying
I think ghosts are science based, and it's all part of the same thing.
What?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. So
what?
When you say ghosts, do you mean you're like this is a magical thing that's haunting people, or do you mean it's like, because I think ghosts are real, but it's like time skips or like physics carbon copies, or it's something to do with our physics that we don't understand yet.
I think there are ghosts. I did a podcast in my apartment, and which I don't do anymore.
Speaking of ghosts,
yeah,
my dead podcast.
And I remember I had
a bunch of those.
I had a guest, Christy Miller. Do you know her? Christy Miller. She long black hair.
She sounds familiar.
Yeah. So she was in my apartment, and she was like, and I told her, it was like, yeah, I think I have a ghost in my apartment. And she's like, yeah, he's standing right there.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And actually, you want to know something? At night, when I use the bathroom and I come out of the bathroom, if I know that immediately to my left, there is something standing there. Immediate, and it's not like they're during the day.
It's happened multiple times?
Yeah.
So when she said the ghost was standing right there, did you say
it's a male?
It's a male, and did she describe them?
No, she just said it's a male ghost, and I think his name was Sam or something, and I think he's been in the building for a long time.
And when you see him, do you see a male figure, or what do you see?
No, I just know that there's a presence.
You
in my
can
apartment.
feel like the body heat. Or whatever.
I can feel like
smell
there's
the whiskey on his
yeah. And I'm like, where are you going?
So, how many times do you think if you had to guess, round number, how many times did you experience this? Because like when
I
she said
experience it on a weekly basis.
Did you, when she said it, did you get completely freaked out?
Nah, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. And also, I actually had to someone come in and do like a whole like thing in my apartment. So I used
like a sage,
yeah, like a sage. And
my wife wants to sage me right now. Yeah. She's like, you're haunted.
So into the topic.
You're haunted.
And so she
In all
came
fairness,
in.
you look like what would show up as a ghost.
I look,
yeah.
I
kind of love it though.
I look like a Wendigo.
I mean,
they see in Pet
you could be
Sematary.
my ghost.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna take that and masturbate with it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But so, wait, what were we talking about?
Like she came in and saged the apartment.
Yeah, I have such ADHD.
No, so do I.
No, so she came in, and actually, what's interesting is I leave my TV on at night. Because I had like so I had like a rough 2023, 2024, and in order to be able to fall asleep, I needed to have something on in the TV. And what's funny is when the woman came in, she was like, "Oh, they're actually coming through the TV." Because
I've never heard that before.
Because they're drawn to electromagnetic forces. So, like, if you think about it, like the TV, and I know this is all hearsay, and we all are like, oh, it's all, people will be like, no, that's crazy. But if you think about it in that terms of if you believe in the paranormal and spiritual, coming through the TV, or that's what's attracting them, it's like a portal in that sense.
Oh, that's like poltergeist.
To hop on what Sean said with that is that, like, the connection between the undead and extraterrestrials is that they're thinking they're bringing down a lot of these crafts with electromagnetic rays and radar, right? I mean, that's how they're bringing these down. So it's interesting that you say that about spirits. So it's like, okay, so these other forms of consciousness are all attracted to these different sides. Like either it's electromagnetic process, either it's the nuclear reactors as we see with Fukushima. It's interesting.
I think what helped people inevitably get interested in this was the X-Files.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, well, yeah, and also Close Encounters, and also it ramps up. But
the thing that stops people from believing are the ghost shows that do like these paranormal visits, and it's like so exaggerated, and it's like, okay, no,
you've never felt shit.
When you go to Yugoslavia and you're walking around an abandoned asylum and you start speaking to someone in English and they're like, is there anybody here? Who the fuck is going to answer to you? You think someone's going to be like, I'm here, save me. And we're like,
and I speak English now.
Yeah, and I speak fluent English. Like, who the fuck is going to do that? Who? No. Why are you talking to these people in English?
I came with you guys. I came on the bus with you guys. I'm part of the tourist group.
Amen. Oh my God. Oh, thank God. Some people are finally here to get me back to America. I've been stuck here in Serbia for 200 years at this asylum, and I've been waiting for someone to take me home.
I just love it. Like, you're right, because that's my first. What takes me out of a supernatural show immediately is when they bring out their tools, like the electromagnetic readers, and I'm like, I've like the same tools they're using are also the novelty ones that it's like, oh bro, it says you're gay.
Yeah,
it's literally the same.
Just walk around with my Zoom recorder and be like,
Exactly. You can make it beep.
Yeah, I can make my Zoom recorder. I'll just tie my iPhone underneath and be like, beep. Oh my God.
They get them off Amazon too. It's like they're like their card is like ghost supplies, fart spray.
Yeah.
And Pat, can you pull up Amazon ghost meter and let's see?
I guarantee you they listed as that.
I love how you put gaydar. raw. Oops, Freudian slip, Pat. What the fuck is Pat doing behind the scenes?
He's furiously masturbating.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a ghost meter on Amazon, if we can buy it. All right.
We'll check it out. We'll get back to it. Let me tell you real quick, like what you said about your friend.
K.
Oh, there it is.
Well, let's let him get it. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
$11.
It goes from $10 to $150.
And most of them
looks like a calculator.
They're like EMF detectors, which is the main one, but a couple of them are 3-in-1 radiation detector. So it must be EMF, radiation, and something else. And Yeah, a lot of places can give off these things based off residual energy, and that's what is probably happening 9.5 times out of 10.
Wait, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you know how, have you seen the videos where Tesla cars will drive through the cemetery?
Have you seen these?
No.
You haven't seen that? Pull that up. So the Tesla car will drive through the cemetery, and the Tesla will pick up people standing in and around the cemetery, but then there's no one there.
What?
Yeah, it's
look,
watch.
here, watch.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I've
so
seen
they
these.
go into. You've never seen this?
No, I've never seen this.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
This. Okay.
Tesla. Yeah, it shows up on the
I can't hear it yet.
They're in the graveyard. A Tesla detected mysterious.
See?
Oh my God, that is terrifying. So Tesla can pick up I wonder if that's just something he put in to fuck with people. But that is, I mean, that's wild. It's very wild to watch.
How about this? Even if it is just glitch, could it be glitch because it's dealing with some other energy in the graveyard? You know what I'm saying? Like these things walking around.
Sure, but like to that, I'd say like, well, then there's 3 ghosts behind us. It could be true.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But let me ask you something though. Here's the interesting thing: why aren't they walking in the road? Why are they only in the cemetery?
That's
Why aren't they walking in the road? Why aren't they crossing
But if you
the
look
street?
at the video, it looks like the same. It's the same. I guess they all look the same, but they're. I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, that's weird.
And there's
then
nobody
there's
around.
like multiple people.
And does he prove there's nobody around? Like he shoots it back up, right? Doesn't he bring the camera back up? So what we're seeing right now is this guy's parked in the graveyard. There's nobody around him in the car, and he shows the equipment of the Tesla, and it does that GPS thing where it shows humans walking around.
Right.
You know, the satellites or whatever you want to. The technology picks up pedestrians already, and it's picking up about at first 1, then 2. They're glitching in and out. It's not even solid. When they do them on the street, it's fucking solid. And then out of nowhere, you'll see a group of them show up, and then it goes away. Look it up. It's Tesla graveyard. Just type Tesla graveyard, and it'll probably pop right up.
Oh yeah, isn't that?
It's interesting at the least. It's really
It's
interesting.
very interesting. It does make me scared because it's like, well, if we die, are we just walking around the whole fucking time?
Well, that's the
I mean, that's what I do now.
But it's also a thing where
So it's not like there's anything. There's no difference. It's going to be like I'll pretend like I'm waiting for the C train to go downtown.
You die, and they're like, congratulations, you're our building facilities manager.
Yeah.
Ghost NYU.
Yeah, and they're like, hey.
All right, well, let's move on from ghosts and move on to aliens, guys. Peru alien mummy let me say that correctly. Peru alien mummy mystery deepens as scientists make bizarre find when they check inside their mouth.
Can you imagine Dan in a freestyle rap battle?
It would be really rough.
I'm the same way.
That was horrendous.
Just you and 8 Mile.
For our Patreon, I'll rap, and it'll be.
I love how they're like, hey.
And I'll try to, which will make it worse.
Oh, yeah. I love how they're like, hey, let's check inside the mouths of these aliens. I was like, okay, yeah. You also may not want to do that with gay people, too. They're like, hey, well, you know what? Let's
Make this gay. It wasn't supposed to be gay.
I know. Well, you did invite me.
I did invite you.
So really quick, I know a little bit about this.
Right.
So back years and years ago, these guys from Peru, they brought these mummy figures that they supposedly found in the mountains of Peru to get tested, and they said they were tested as completely 100% real. It was biological material, and it was whatever, and then it kind of got discounted as like a tabloid type scenario. But then what happened was at the time when the congressional hearing was going on with Crush, the first one, the story arose again. So the guys came forward again, and in Peru, or maybe even in Mexico, they brought them to Mexico and had them tested again. And they've been being tested by legitimate groups for the past year and change. And there's multiple articles that say that they're these doctors that are like, this is 100% real. We're saying that this is real material and these are actual beings.
But
this is made in plaster
the
class.
The latest articles, you're right. They're all saying there's some smoke to this fire. But before that, like almost every single article about this guy before this was this guy's a fraud. He tried to do this in 2000. The Jamie Mossman, I think. I forget his name. He's done this in Mexico City before. He's full of shit. So I'm gonna hold my judgment because there's been so many articles shitting on this guy, and now there's a couple being like, okay, it's real. And for me, it's like finding fillings. Well, what does that mean? We have fillings, so it's like, is it because the fillings are made out of some substance we've never seen before?
So real quick, I think this is the original time. I'll read it now. Back in 2017, ufologist Jamie Masson uncovered dozens of these mummies, in quotes, in the Nazca Desert, sparking years of research to unravel their origins. Now a group of specialists examining the remains claim they've unearthed signs that these entities are biological creatures. That's what I mean. Like, this has been going on for a while.
Do you want to know something?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Nazca Desert, I believe it.
Why is that?
Because it's it's in. I'm assuming this is in South America, right?
Yes.
Please. Oh, that's going to be horrible if I'm wrong.
Peru, yeah.
But it's in South America, right? It's in Peru. Yeah, I believe it. I wouldn't be surprised. But here's the thing. If they had dug that up in northern Ohio, I'd be like, the guy's a fucking fraud.
It's not a bad... I mean, I hear what you're saying.
I don't know why the location make it more believable.
Well, I will say this.
Isn't there like a whole thing? Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say, this is to explain what you're saying, what you're thinking. Lou Elizondo, who's one of the biggest whistleblowers in this topic, you know who he is. If you listen to the podcast, you know exactly who he is. He wrote Imminent. He's part of the all this stuff. He's
the Cuban Guy Fieri. If you haven't seen him, he really is.
So, what one of the things that he said a while ago in a couple different interviews was like, South America is a really big piece of this puzzle. So they must know something about South America, and maybe they're referring to this. Maybe they're referring to whatever's going on. You're closer to the equator.
But we haven't fucked with them enough, so let's get back down there and have the CIA get in there again.
Let's take these motherfuckers out.
We can make.
Didn't you ever see those? It was like on Instagram. They have these videos. There's like these videos, AI generated videos of like the Aztec or Inca. You've seen that, right, Pat? And if you go to the comments. It's the comments because they say like it's like the archaeological or Aztec Incas were actually from a spaceship or something like that. Now, these are all like hearsay and everything. But if you go to the comments, that's where you will see people be like, yes, they were aliens. Like living back in that time, it was like alien ships and things like that. People don't, and it's like you have to go to it's very interesting that they believe that this whole part of Inca and Aztec were actually lifted up in a spaceship, and they live in like the universe. Yeah.
Well, there is.
It's just matter of fact to them. You're saying it's just like there's like, yeah, that's the truth.
That's how some people believe that's what happened, and I think it's like, you can't say, oh, I don't believe that. And I think what happens is, people, of course, people use religion, right? They use religion, and because there's something tangible. Yeah. There's the Bible, right? There's the Quran. There's something tangible that they can hold on to. Here, there's nothing tangible, right?
Right.
There's no actual evidence that they can hold in their hand and say, look, this happened.
Well, I mean, D.W. Pasulka, that's her name?
Yeah.
Diane Pasulka. She's awesome, and she actually she has a book that I just read that's about the convergence of religion and UAP, aerial phenomenon, and her point is one person's miracle is another person's UFO,
right?
Which is what Chris Bledsoe says. He's the guy who apparently gets visited quite a bit from NHI and UAP. I don't know, man. This guy keeps like carting him out. And you could say that's two reasons. He's carting him out because he's just true, or he's carting it out because he's a snake oil salesman who can't fucking sell a snake oil. And I'm not sure.
It's hard because you're like, it's one of those things where if the world
Jamie Masson, that's his name.
If the world tries to keep hiding these things, why is this so easily visible? If the governments of the world try and hide,
because they know it's going to come out as crackpot. Because so the government's not worried about this stuff because, man, they're not going to believe the military telling you we've been working on this, we've retro-engineered, and this guy Jake Barber, they know that only half people are going to believe that. You come out with a little tiny mummy covered in donut dust, they're going to be like, yeah, this is nobody. Way more people aren't going to believe that than the other stuff.
I will say this about disclosure in general. I think that like I think that for sure there's NHI here, like Sean does. But the thing that I think is even more provable is they're preparing us for something. Now, whether or not it's NHI and whether or not it's a new military technology, that's completely possible.
Yeah.
But there's something that's definitely coming. So like, because the amount of leaks that are having, and it's just like, dude, man, like. Again, we try not to make this political, this podcast political. Marco Rubio's a fucking hack. Okay, as a senator, he was a fucking hack. If he's about to come out with this stuff, there's some sort of controlled disclosure.
Yeah.
Because they would not. This guy isn't fucking. This isn't Henry Kissinger. He's only gonna talk about the things they tell him.
He's also he sat in the room and held his tongue when all the Ukraine stuff was going on. And if he's like, yeah, I'm on this committee, then you're like, all right, I think it's
yeah. I have a feeling that there's definitely smoke to this fire. There's definitely fire to the smoke. That's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know. I mean, it's so tough because you're like, you look at those mummies and you're like, well, it looks cool, but it's also, if I was like making a mummy to look like an alien, that's what I would make, so it's that's
always
they're like, well, it's made out of doll hair and it's made out of all this other stuff.
You know what messes it up? And I don't know if you remember this, and might be able to grab this to show you guys haven't seen it. Back in the day, 90s, alien autopsy, Fox did it, where they said they bought. I
remember that.
They bought the tape of the actual alien autopsy, and it was 100% hoax.
That was 100%.
They proved it because they proved it with symbols on the film. They proved it right there, alien autopsy. And that's all I think about if I see anything shaped like an alien going forward that's not right in front of my eyes, like that.
Because it reminds me of like, do you remember that show back in the 90s, A Current Affair?
Yeah.
That's how like I feel like this was portrayed. It was like, it's on a current affair. And of course, when you have the guy from Star Trek narrating, is it fact or fiction?
Yeah.
You kind of are like, okay, this is made for TV.
Yeah. A lot of it is. But it doesn't mean that, like, even if you have like Ancient Aliens, it's like, it's so funny. You can have a whole bunch of true with a good chunk of bullshit thrown in there. And that's what keeps people debating it back and forth. And then, like you said, like, then when you get to this point in history that's going on now with, I don't know if you know about this with all disclosure, these 2 different congressional hearings, all these whistleblowers, and it's controlled. It's controlled. Like, there's things they can and can't say. The government's like, hey, we got to give them something. Like we've said this before. You got to get slow disclosure. So, but when you, with this kind of stuff back in the day, it's like, hey, let's throw this out to try to, but this guy was just a hoax, but nobody's murdering this guy because they know that it's bullshit. And they realize, hey, it kind of furthers our agenda.
Also, it's like, we discovered an alien body. We didn't discover alternate energy. If you want to, the easiest way to get killed in America is discovering I made this car run on water. Heart attack mysteriously. A year later, it's like you're getting.
They don't care about aliens. They're like, let them be weird.
Yeah.
It's probably autism. Like, let them go
in front of our bottom line.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's move on to some more hopeful. I think even more hopeful UAP news. David Grush, who was a famous UAP whistleblower in 2023, he came out and testified against Congress and confirmed the existence of alien biologics and alien crafts. He got a job on Congress. Yeah. So now the point is, can you pull back the topics, Pat? I just want to see who hired him.
I think it wasn't it the
guy from Montana, I think, or
Rep. Eric Burleson. I guess that the thing that because he's going through the process of working through Congress, like they're going to be. They're gonna just him going through the process. They're gonna have access to more information than they would have because he's going to become an official part of the machine. That's what I've read. I mean, I'm not sure. Like what checks out and what doesn't. And more importantly, he's going to be like, hey, this is where you should look. These are the agencies that are hiding things.
So when this guy whistleblew, he had 40 or 50 different interviews he did with government officials on top of, tons and tons of documents that he had accrued over the years. He did a 4-year investigation. So the minute you hire him, they were already privy to checking out his info. He was open. Yeah. But now you're able to work with him at the same time. Yeah. And with his relationships, I guess. So I guess the whole idea is let's bust the whole wide.
What is UAP?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. It's a new.
And
it's
you
a new,
thought you were the gayest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the gayest thing I've heard in a long time from two straight guys is when they say something in unison.
Wait till the end when we blow each other.
I'm surprised you guys weren't like, at the end.
like men on film.
Yeah.
Let's try. Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
You're just narrowing this podcast audience every second. I
I
always
believe in
say,
aliens, but I don't believe in these gays.
yeah, let me tell you something. I always say straight men, they just one step closer to being gay every fucking day.
My wife is the closest you can come to dating a man that looks like a woman. So, but going back to David Grush. Going back to David Grush. He's not taking this job for the money. Like, there's no way he's getting paid a lot for
Do you think
this.
he's taking it for safety?
Yes.
Yes, I think so too.
100% he's taking it for safety.
Well, I think also so a running theme a lot of these times with a lot of these whistleblowers, Bob Lazar was the first one to say it, that he came out because he's like, I was scared for my life. Now, that was in the 80s. There wasn't as much stability to that claim, but Grush talked about the harassment, well, barely, but he talked about it during his whistleblowing. So this could just even solidify him even more.
And they just came out. Somebody dropped, he had PTSD and alcohol problems, and then they dropped that, which is hilarious when we have Pete Hegseth as Secretary of State, or Secretary of Defense. But for the most part. They haven't tried to discredit him. The way they've tried to discredit guys in the past, like Bob Lazar, it's been kind of kid gloves. But I do think if you get a job on Capitol Hill, David Grush dies mysteriously isn't a story, but congressional aide dies mysteriously is a story.
Very, very true. And also, like, if he does die young, you better hope it's the most straightforward thing ever.
You better hope he's hit by a fucking drunk. I'm serious. The only way that people will believe it,
all the facts are out there,
is that we see the fucking drunk guy get out of the car, go, oh fuck. That's really the only way.
It has to be like one of those like TMZ videos.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and they're asking him, "Are you affiliated with the government?" He's like, "Huh?" And they're like, "All right, well, I believe that."
There's new Bruckheimer UAP project.
Click on that, Pat. I got to see the picture of Bruckheimer. I saw it for a split second.
Oh my god!
Why does he look like a troll version of Seth Green?
That's
remember Seth
Jerry
Green?
Bruckheimer.
Oh my god, he looks
on the left.
Yes,
he looks like a marionette that was granted freedom. That's what he looks like. I mean, it is.
My God, it's like Carol Burnett if she was a man.
it's like
don't put that on, please. I like Carol Burnett. Dude. I don't want her to
go
be
gray. Go gray.
It literally. Okay, please don't put this up. It looks like Seth Green with a lot of face.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Seth Green, after living in Hollywood for 100 years.
Seth Green lived left in back of a fridge for 3 months.
Yeah, it's like Seth Green took over the Abercrombie and Fitch.
Anyway, Jerry, we'd love to work with you.
It's Seth Green on Ozempic.
This is the guy, I believe he directed or was he the DP of Top Gun? But
of a bunch. It used to be him and Don Simpson. Don Simpson died.
Joseph Kaczynski and Jerry Bruckheimer. But they just got a major rich deal from from this, same as Spielberg has a movie coming out. So these big ass movies are coming out, and if you know anything about Hollywood, which I currently work in, it's very hard to get a bidding war started. So the fact that these guys got a bidding war started, that's how hot this topic is.
Is it a doc or it's scripted?
I think it's scripted because they're doing the racing movie.
Beverly Hills Cop 5.
they're doing a racing movie F1, which I don't know. Besides Talladega Nights,
I saw the trailer for it.
But besides Talladega Nights, hasn't one racing movie made money?
Cars.
You're right. It has to have something. It has to have like a comedic sort of spin on it, right?
Yeah.
I can't think.
I mean, how do you make drag racing dramatic?
You actually put drag queens. That's how.
You would get RuPaul.
Huh? Wouldn't it be funny if they actually just had RuPaul show up in one of the cars?
Or as one of the cars? Let me ask you this, though. So, yeah, it's gonna be a UFO movie. I bet you it'll be fun. That's gonna be hard to make as well going forward.
It's hard because as much as we love classics, most Hollywood movies that make money fall into tropes. And one of the alien tropes that makes money is the Independence Day, let's fight them.
And they tried to do it again years later, and they screwed up.
Failed miserably.
Yeah,
so
what was that?
I think this has
A resurgence or something. I didn't even watch it.
this has to be more
Aliens.
Yeah, close
Right?
encounter.
Aliens, Close Encounters, Predator, like
Well,
all
Close
these.
Encounters, that's the difference. That's the one where they're not adversarial.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that these movies are going to probably have much more of that kind of flair.
But do you also think that Hollywood is grasping onto something because they know that watching movies in the movie theaters now is a dying art form?
But there's a huge push for it to come back, and Maverick is one of the reasons that it is coming back. Like I think it's going to slowly have people come back to the movies. Not like it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they kind of think of both now. They
It'll
go,
have
what
to be
works?
events.
Right.
They'll be like, hey, we need to cut our losses on the ones that go to net on the streaming, and then the big ones that we're going to do globally for China, we can go all out and do. That's probably what this is. If I had
Yeah,
to guess.
because there was this guy who, what was it? He won an Oscar for just making his movie on a computer. Remember that? It was like an animated movie, and he just made it on his computer, and it won an Oscar, and it was like one of the most successful animated movies. And you're like, I think with Hollywood, I don't know, I don't work in Hollywood. I just, from an outsider's point of view, it's one of those things where it's like Hollywood's trying to still stay mainstream while all these little smaller things always gain more
Attraction.
a public traction than actual,
True.
and I feel like star-studded names is still a good thing, but it's not drawing people to the.
I think that the latest Avengers rollout looked kind of desperate. Like they showed the cast for the
Just
new
the chairs,
Avengers
right?
Doomsday.
Just had the chairs.
They had and they had Downey at the end of it, but it was just like, look at all the famous people that are going to be in this, and I'm like, yeah, but what's the fucking story?
And it's not as much of an impact as it was before.
Because I think that people who believe in like Marvel, UFOs, like all that super X-Men, they actually care more about the storyline and the actual portrayal of how they are, like the portrayal of the superheroes than the celebrities. Like, I'll tell you this, do you guys remember the first X-Men that came out? Did you guys watch that?
Yeah,
the first X-Men movie
with
the
Rebecca
X-Men?
Romaine, was she the
Right.
first? Yeah.
And like they had Halle Berry as Storm, which was the dumbest casting I've ever seen in any of those Marvel movies. She should not have been Storm. And that's the thing. It's like they put her in there because she's a celebrity and it draws people to the movies. But I would have rather, as a comic book fan, seen someone who actually portrayed her as the woman that she was supposed to be. And I think that's where, if you look at like Marvel and these types of movies, it's like, give us the
real casting.
Yeah, give us the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
I don't care about this.
And those are the ones that do well.
Right.
But I'll tell you, back when that first X-Men came out, now they could entertain the idea of doing what you're saying because they see how it works. Back then, it was all celebrity, and they were making boatloads of money in the theaters. That was 2099, 98?
Yeah,
right?
1998.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a different time then.
Right,
And then now they can get away with it, but they still do it this way because the Marvel ones have proven that so the big controversy, not controversy, the big reveal is that Downey Jr. is back as Dr. Doom. And there's a storyline that supports it within the comics that I don't know because I don't know the comics well enough. But that's what they're doing that for like people because you have Downey Jr. back, and for the comic book fans because they're like, oh my god, it's that storyline with like multiverse and all that. Speaking of paranormal multiverse, but what I wanted to ask you guys, considering all the movies we just listed and this Bruckheimer deal, they've gone through every different take. You're saying that, hey, they're malignant. They're good. They're bad. They're whatever. They're ugly. I
think it's going to be more like Close Encounters. I really do think it's going to be because like now it's going to become more of a. I feel like the way to sell movies now is to go back to the event model. Like, for instance, Titanic, it wasn't just a movie, it was an event. Going to see Titanic was like an event. And I think that like
Maverick was an event.
Maverick was an event.
Maverick's like save movies. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So, and I think that like, and and horror movies do well because I think that that's like, ooh, I'm going in for an experience.
Get scared, yeah.
And it's why comedies are struggling so hard because, the nature of a comedy is to kind of take the gas out of something. So like to try to build something up as a comedy, intrinsically, you have to run into like, oh, is this going to look lame or not?
I'm sorry. I will say this, and I am a firm believer. Comedies today are not what they used to be because it's horrible writing.
Well,
in the sense of like, it's like, no, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Horrible. It's mediocre writing, pushing. It's
I just don't
forced
think there's
comedy
any being made now. Like
it's
there's
just
really
such
hardly any
bad
being
forced
made.
comedy. And I think what happened is that they're trying to, in my personal opinion, a lot of Hollywood, if you're looking at comedy, there's no comedic timing anymore. Mm-hmm. Like that's my thing. It's like I don't know. I just all of the 80s.
I honestly
and 90s
just don't think that they're making. I see what you're saying, but I just don't. I think it's the reason you're saying there's none is because they're not making enough. Because like when they made a lot, you're like, oh, there's a couple good ones a year. Well, if they're making only a couple a year, then probably there's one good one a year. Yeah. So that's probably why.
I shouldn't say that about the writers. I'm not downing writers.
No, I know what
I
you
just
mean.
think that sometimes they're chasing the laugh so hard versus letting it be good comedic time.
So that kind of my take on
Sorry.
it. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You have your opinion. My take.
Well, I know, but I feel bad because I know you guys.
I mean, I'm writing a movie. It hasn't sold yet.
It's not a comedy.
So now I am.
Oh, it's comedy. The other one was.
It's a comedy horror.
You better.
This
better
is
have
great.
Oscar
Thank
check
you
it
so
out.
much for having me. I will just see my way out the
everybody's
door.
writing a movie.
As I'm like, these horrible
but-
comedy writers, and I'm like, I'll just
I will
see my
say
door.
to Oscar's credit, before we sat down, and I'm really proud of this movie that we're writing, but before we sat down, it was definitely like, how are we going to market this so it hits 4 different areas and still is good? It's a lot to go into putting a comedy you think people are going to see now.
And I think right now what happens is real quick, because I know, because here's the thing, there's so much content. When back in the 80s and 90s, it was like, this was a comedy movie. People didn't have anything else to do. They went to the movies. Now I don't have to go to the movies. I can watch it on streaming.
Now, I mean, look at this. I've seen like one American episode of The Office. I can watch the whole fucking thing now.
You only see one.
I've only seen a couple, but I haven't. I could watch the whole fucking thing.
The
now.
last movie I went to was Pineapple Express.
That you
was the
went
last
into the
movie?
theaters?
Yeah.
Comedy or movie?
Shut up.
Movies.
Wow. Oh, you just lost all credibility in this conversation.
That's like
You haven't gone to the movies?
Yeah, that's why I haven't gone to the movie.
I will say this though, Pineapple Express is right at the end of those. That was at the end of the episode. Started trying.
Yeah, but there was movies that snuck through that were good.
I mean, I've watched movies at home.
Right.
But I haven't watched, like,
theater. That might be my favorite thing to do in life is to go to a movie theater. Above all else.
Yeah,
He doesn't separate
I
life,
loved
though.
going to the movies when I didn't have to shell out $75.
Oh, we got Boomer Oscar here. We got
Well, I think there's more. I think there's more than you think, but there's less than you. But I'll land somewhere in the middle.
And I didn't mean any offense to the bad, right? I just felt like,
dude. I do not care.
Okay.
Number
Let me
4.
just say, before we stop the topic, I just want to say one thing about it. I think another thing that happens, I mean, you move on right away, is that the reason why you're not seeing these comedies for the comedy's sake is because comedy has infiltrated everything. So every drama, every Marvel movie, everything, there's like somewhat of a comedic take to it. Like there's always these comedic moments they have to throw in.
Right.
So you don't have to go to see a straight up slapstick. And people have become a little bit up their own asses a little bit, where it's like, hey, to go see a silly movie like The Sandler works better on Netflix and Family because it can be silly, and people got a little bit too serious and divide. You get political with it, but I just want to say that
We're getting
back to Earth.
The paranormal. We'll down to Earth at the end, but this is just the horrible, unique things about Earth, which is the Happy Face Killer show just came out with Dennis Quaid, which is based on Melissa Moore's story, where her fucking father, Keith Jesperson, told her about the people that he killed, and she helped the authorities solve a lot of those murders. The reason this guy's famous is because there was a woman who admitted to one of the murders, and she was lured into a false confession. And it was like a year later, he's like, "Oh no, I did that one too." You know? Like,
oh really?
So, yeah. The woman who plays her, Annabelle Cord, not Annabelle Cord. It's God, she was in that show Be Positive. But
Melissa Moore?
no, it's I forget who's.
Go up, I think it's up.
Annalyn Ashford. She's very good. And Dennis Quaid is good at being creepy. So, you know, the thing that like the Happy Face Killers, it was like,
why did they call it Happy?
because he taunted the cops by leaving a happy face. He would write to the cops and then leave a happy face. That's how they got him. You know?
Really?
Yeah, all these guys want to get caught. They all want to like, dude, try to have a great set and not tell anyone.
Dude.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, even then you'd be like, yeah, pretty good. You know, like, I'm sure that these guys are the same way, man. They're like, I want people to know my shit.
Murdered. And they're like,
I murdered, but I actually murdered.
No, I actually
murdered.
And they're telling the truth, unlike most of the comics we know.
Let me ask you this, because you were my true crime guy here. Did you see the video online? You scrolled through the video online of the guy, or we'll talk more about this. I'll talk about after if you want.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, that's basically the story. He's like, I mean, Keith Jesperson, he's like one of the last big serial killers to do like a show about, I think, as far as American guys. Almost every single other person has been.
This is the first time they've done anything about him.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yes, this is the first narrative thing they've done.
Yeah.
did they ever do anything about the Manson family?
Oh my God! Seriously?
Endless. Yeah.
Endless.
Oh,
They just had a
new
documentary on the Manson called Chaos. It's based on this book, and the whole premise of that book is that Manson was a CIA asset, and there's some smoke to that fire, but there's not enough, I don't think, to really justify that theory.
There's one, and I don't know if they did a story on. Can you look up Bianca Manson? Just do Manson.
Is that the woman who tried to marry him before he died?
No. There you go. Bianca Manson, Glenview. Can you click on that? No, right. Never mind. Go Bianca Manson murder. Oh, La Bianca murders.
La Bianca, we got a lot.
That guy, that went all over the place.
So
Tate La Bianca, I've heard.
Yeah.
Of this.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So they were actually
those are the first murders.
family that they murdered.
Yeah, it was the grocery store magnate.
Yeah.
Anyway, that whole.
But they've definitely done something about that. You know, I guess Sharon Tate kind of outshines all this other stuff, but yeah.
You know, like it was a perfect story because they wanted they basically wanted the 60s to end, and this is the way they did it. You know, like they brought like, see, these guys aren't hippies, they're all fucking murderous, you know, savages. But Manson is just basically a fucking pimp. You know, that's his whole, like, everything about the guy is just pimp energy.
Well, he's a cult leader.
Yeah. But
he shared so many
before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And his mom was a prostitute. Like, he's just a child of an institution since he was a kid.
Well, real quick, I wanted to ask you. There's a video online, and I don't know what you would type in and see it, where the cop. It's a body cam video of them showing up. It looks like a farm of some sort, like a rural type house. Mm-hmm. And they're showing up and they're asking about the woman's son.
I've seen that.
And the woman found a head and hands in the son's room. And then the son comes out, and it's pretty chilling. The son comes out and
can we not? Okay, yeah.
Your mom found a head and hands.
I can't watch that stuff.
It's crazy. No, we don't have to watch.
He's very casual about it too.
Well, there's a moment that I'm sure you've seen in all, like, when they have interviews and stuff, where he goes, the cop goes, "Why would there be a head and hands in your room?" And he goes, and he's kind of like looking normal, and then his face drops, and he goes, "'Cause I murdered him." Like that was the point. He just decided, you'll get everything. You'll get every. He just started telling him what happened.
Yeah, dude.
He goes that fellow that went missing. It sounds like a fucking movie. It's like very chilling, the interview, and they're like, and the cops not arrest him. I think he's just trying to get whatever he can out of him because he's talking to him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's.
And he was like, "Why would you do that?" And he's like, I wanted to see what murder felt like. It was like your cookie cutter, like, psychopathic interview.
There's this YouTube channel, Dreading, and it shows a lot of these interrogation videos, and they do a difference between someone who's genuinely psychotic and not psychotic, and they use Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland shooter, as someone who's pretending to be psychotic because whenever the police are there, he's like going like, and then when they leave, he just gets normal. But then they're like, this guy's actually psychotic, and he's just sitting there like this, and they're like, where did you go? He goes, I stabbed someone on the side of the road, and they're like, what do you think you should do? He goes, eye for an eye, you should kill me. And immediately they're like, yeah, we can't kill this guy. Like he's going to the mental institution. So it's interesting. I guess he negged his way off death row, I guess. But all right, well, we got to head out, guys. We're reaching the end of it. Back down to earth. A truly pathetic Earth story. I saw this video. We always highlight at the end of the episode to let the aliens know we're ready for you, even though you may not be ready for us. And this, my friend, is just a classic miserable old man story. This high school coach.
Where is this? Let's see where
was it. Was it Connecticut? Where was it?
Philadelphia, I think.
Philadelphia.
That checks.
Dude, this 80-year-old Jim Zolio, in New York. It's in New York.
Oh, yeah.
New York.
Sorry.
Jim Zolio, like he was coaching this girl who was the all-time leading scorer for their team, by the way. And he just comes back and just yanks her fucking hair.
What was the reasoning?
During an offstage trip, she got fouled out. She was fouled out. And Jesus. Even the girl is like, no, you are done.
There's no point.
There's not. You could just see, like, I've never seen a guy who's more fired immediately than that.
And she takes it and steps right over it.
Steps right over.
She's not crying, I don't think, is she? Is she crying?
She was crying before that.
Oh, okay.
She was crying because she got fouled out. She's already feeling bad. She's the top scorer of the team. So she's like trying to do a good job.
Hey, Jim, retire, you old fucker.
Well, he's out. He's out. And
I'm pretty sure he was like, you don't remember? I remember when women couldn't even touch a ball.
So
y'all should have been lucky.
This was so embarrassing for the family that the son released the apology statement. The son said, hey, my father will not be doing this again. Don't worry.
He's gone. Yeah.
He's gone.
Don't it's already hard enough. And also never touch
he backs
a woman like that.
No, of course not. It's assault.
You're in the BDSM community, and
unless you're in that club that gave permission. What's the one that sex club that they got Me Too'd in? There was some actor.
There was a Brooklyn one.
There was one where some.
There was the one with Thomas Middleditch. That's ridiculous. I mean, like I know Thomas well enough. I do like Thomas, but that one was like, I read that and I was like, come on.
Yeah, that's just horrible.
He went to a sex club and asked to fuck. All right, give him a break. But Oscar, thank you so much. You were great on the show. What can we promote for you?
You can check me out on my Instagram page, Oscar Aydin. It's Oscar Aydin. And then also I'm going to be in Chicago and doing a few road gigs featuring for Ashley Hesseltine.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to...
Which places,
we're doing the Den Theater in Chicago, and then we're doing...
it's a good theater.
Something in Miami, I forgot, and then we're going to D.C., and I forgot which one in D.C.
Cool, but check out your Instagram.
Yeah, just find me on Instagram. It's Oscar Aydin.
And how do you spell the last name?
Aydin.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Sean,
I had a great time. Next time I want to talk more about ghosts.
Well, we can do that.
We'll do a ghost episode for you.
Yeah, please. I would love to come back for that one.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
You can check me out at Shawnee Time on Instagram. I'll be coming up. I'll be at Comedy Vault in Batavia, Illinois. It's a great club. Please, if you're a fan of the show, get tickets. It's a great venue. It's right outside Chicago. Besides that, check out Burbs Bros Everything. So subscribe to the YouTube online, but however you listen to your podcasts, YouTube, you do any kind of audio, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Burbs Bros on Instagram. Make sure you follow that. And that's it. Hey, Danny.
Yeah, I'm back doing stand-up, folks. So if you want to see me, next weekend. This is coming out Monday, right, Pat? Okay, so next week I'm going to be back in the New York clubs. I'm doing The Stand. I'm doing Brooklyn Comedy Club. I'm doing QED. And yeah, man, follow us. Follow my YouTube channel. Follow Burbs Bros YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. And please, we're going to start reading your paranormal stories on the Patreon. So leave them Instagram, message them, or do we have an email, Pat? What's the email? burbsbros@gmail.com or email, and we'll read them off. So.
And what day is the Patreon coming out? Isn't it April?
It's
actually on Tuesday, so I was good.
It's Tuesday. Oh yeah.
Do you want to come in? Pat's going to speak.
Our Patreon will come out yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, so it's already out.
You guys can,
So check out the Burbs Bros Patreon.
All right, great.
You guys could join our Patreon as of yesterday.
And it's patreon.com/Burbs Bros.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Please check that out. It helps the show. It helps us keep going. It helps us pay everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks again to Oscar, and we'll see you next week. Bye.